After you watch this video, you are going to be able to process, accept, and let go of all the fears you have about divorce. So make sure to watch the whole thing, because I promise after this video, you'll be on your first steps to living a fearless life. We're gonna go over 5 steps on how to overcome your fear during your divorce. So let's tune in. Fear is an interesting concept that we live by. It's a buildup of emotions that starts in your brain. And so as we go through these 5 steps, I want you to think about how your brain processes fear. What are some things that you fear? I want to ask you a question, and I would like to have you leave your comments below. How are you to plan a new future if you don't know what it looks like? Well, now that we have that question in place, what are some fears that actually cause us to crumble and feel like we're worthless and because we can't do enough and we're not good enough? I think the number one fear is the fear of failure. Divorce has a written stamp right over it that you failed your marriage and you failed the greatest relationship that you're supposed to have in your life, and you failed. Well, that's a huge fear. But what about the fears of financial then? You don't know what your future looks like financially. What about your fears of your physical health and your mental health and your spiritual health? Now you're having this overwhelming amount of anxiety, postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, anything that comes in the form of feeling like you're not good enough and that you failed is a huge fear. But where does that fear come from? It really stems from your mind and how you process change, how you process pain and doubt and the worries of this world. So we could study fear and what fear means and how it affects us, but what I really want to walk through is how to overcome that fear. So let's jump into this. Your number one step into overcoming fear is positive thinking. You really need to retrain your brain on how to think positively in every situation. Yes, every situation. Your divorce is the perfect time right now to take control of your life and who you are. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't process the emotions that you have. In fact, I've made other videos on how to process your emotions during divorce. I've left that link below. But really think about how your brain processes around you. And are you punishing yourself because of how your life has played? Just because you have been damaged in one form, way, or another from divorce does not mean that you need to start thinking negatively about yourself. Because when you start thinking negatively about yourself, the fears and the doubts start creeping in that I'm not good enough and I'm never going to be successful in this life and I'm never going to have a healthy relationship and no one's ever going to love me. Those are okay to have those thoughts, but learn how to channel them in a positive way of thinking and realize you have control of this moment right now. You don't have control of what happened in the past. You don't have control of what is going to happen in the future. You have control of what's happening right now. So I'm glad right now you have chosen to watch this video, because that means you want to live a positive life. And the first step is desiring that positive thinking. Number 2, be present in the moment. There are a lot of difficult trials that you're going to go through. I just went to a wedding that was in the same location that I got married in. And I had to learn to be present in that moment, but present for myself. I just wanted to sit at a table and think for hours of that location, kind of watching who I was the day that I got married and who I am today. But I magnified that moment, was able to process those emotions and be able to let them go, because fear could have creeped in of I'm never going to be that happy again, and how can this ever be something that's going to be mine again? That's a projection of the future yet again, because fear starts in the mind. Fear is a creation that we make, because if you ask yourself right here in this moment, what are you fearing that can happen right now? So live in the moment right now, and your fears will be able to disappear because fears exist in the future. Another part of this in living in the moment is recognize that you have the ability to create your new story, your new life right now. Not very many people get that opportunity, so you get an opportunity to rewrite your story and define who you are again and learn to love you. But you can't do it if you're holding on to fear and you're living in the future. So live in the moment. Number 3. Focus on the positive outcomes of your situation. So now that we're trying to retrain our brain of positive thinking, we also need to think about our situation and learn that we do not need to be a victim. We do not need to fear that other people are going to treat us the way that we were treated somehow, some way in our marriage. But really take this opportunity to control the outcomes of your situation. You may feel like a victim, and you may have every reason to feel like a victim. I certainly was 100% a victim, but that does not mean that I need to let that victimizing define who I am and the outcome of my situation. I am not going to be defined as someone who was told that they are mental and crazy and not a good mother, because I know that that does not define me. If I let that define me, fear would creep in, and I would be fearful of what would happen if someone actually believed that I was crazy and that I was uncontrollable and that I wasn't a good mother. It's the fear of my expectations of other people that stopped me from living the outcome that I wanted from my story. You need to decide what you want from your story of divorce. What do you want to come out from this? Because you control that, nobody else. And don't let fear creep in, because it's only going to enable that ability to have a positive outcome from your divorce. Number 4, process your loss and realize that's a part of pain and a part of change. We fear change. We fear the possibilities of what's going to happen to us financially. Where are we going to live? How are we going to take care of our children? All valid fears, but don't let them control you. Embrace those moments and those emotions. I like to think of divorce as a wave in the ocean. It comes in and it comes out, and it comes in, it comes out. And you kind of just need to be a little bit of a bobber and letting those emotions and riding with the waves of them, and realizing that one moment you're going to be very happy and the next moment you're not. But realize that change can be a beautiful thing. Change does not need to be fearful, because if you live in the moment and not in the future, you can recognize that having that loss and the emotions and those upset feelings that you have, it's okay. Validate them, and then learn to realize that your change can be positive. You do not have to be defined by your divorce. You can define who you are because you had the opportunity to get divorced. And number 5, embrace the change, control your brain, and realize this is for your gain. That's funny because that rhymed. I didn't actually mean it to rhyme, but it did anyway. So really control how you process your fears. Control how you realize that you are not a failure. And you know you're not a failure because you're going to take control of those thoughts. You're going to embrace the pain that you're going through, and you're going to make this change in your life for your own gain. You're going to change it and let it be one of the most amazing, beautiful experiences that you've ever gone through, because you're going to realize that you're worth it. You don't need to have fear. You let those positive thoughts push you forward in life because you are valued, and you know that you can be loved again because you love who you are. Now you have the tool set you need to start living a fearless life, especially if you're going through divorce and after divorce. But what about when you feel an overwhelming power of judgments on you because you are divorced or because you are going through divorce? Well, lucky for you, I've made a video about this, so click the link below and go ahead and watch how you can overcome the judgments of divorce. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. check out my other videos below, and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. But most importantly, share this video with someone that you know has gone through divorce, is thinking about divorce, or like me, is going through divorce. My divorce is not final, and I definitely go through all of the thoughts and feelings that I share with you. And give yourself a little bit of a break and realize that today is the moment that you can control, and that's okay if you feel doubt, fear, sadness, and sorrow. But learn how to channel it, change it, and make it for your gain, because today's your day, so make it yours.